Yeah, so apparently everything we just talked about for the last 30 minutes did not get recorded, Evan.
It's all right. That is okay. Well,
All right, so let's get back to it. So we'll just bring it back in. All right, so we'll get through these last beers and we'll get it done.
well, you were telling us about middle of your divorce, having a toddler, having a newborn. Go for it.
All right, so how we got to here. Friends when we were kids always used to, hypothetically do the varsity blues thing, get drunk, play football.
Yeah.
But we always brought it back to like, oh, dude, we're doing good.
Yeah.
Whether or not we were, that's a subjective argument. But all the same, we were definitely. And we stayed out of trouble for the most part. We weren't getting arrested or fucking around. I mean, I maybe got arrested one time. Twice, maybe. Jury's out on that, but actually, jury's not out on that. I'm clean.
Yeah.
So at least that's the way it came down from the court. But yeah, so we felt like our dads being active in our lives they were raising us right. And then out of all of our friends, I think I was the youngest to get married.
So
sorry, Aaron.
Let me back up. So I would say that in my childhood, and I'm gonna call it a childhood because I was basically in my childhood from the age of 1 or when I came out of the womb until I was 23. So my childhood. I'm not gonna say that our parents were naive or didn't know the stuff we were into, because they probably did, but at the same time, that's not where they gave us a lot of guidance, and they didn't really rein in on us that hard. I would say when I really started coming in tune or becoming in tune with my dad was around the 16, 17-year-old mark, where I was trying to figure out who I was and what I was wanting to do with my life.
Yeah.
And my dad, and even my stepdad, and like you said, I had 2 really good role models in my life to follow. But at that 16, 17-year-old mark, they really started pushing me and guiding me. And it wasn't a micromanaging every day, every Friday night. You're not going out, you're not going to drink. It was conversations once a month, or hey, here's where you are, here's where you need to be, and here's where you need to go. It was those conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
And then ultimately it got to the point where I was 18 years old and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was basically my dad saying, hey, dude, you need to get the fuck in the military. And that's where I ended up. And I think a lot of that was because he saw guys like you, other friends in my life, do similar things.
Well, and I made the argument to you. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do, what I want to be. Military was a good option. I was like, even if you don't want to do the military as a career, I felt like it was a good place to hide out.
Yeah, square your way for a while.
Square your way, get college paid for, get a paycheck, get experience. But it's like your life is still on cruise control in the military, so you can still have time to figure out what you want to do as a civilian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what I looked at it as. Or at least I did when I first went in, prior to doing the whole Ranger thing. Just by the way, we're drinking High Life. It is a delicious India Pale Ale. It's a nice IPA. It's high gravity. It's from Cigar City Brewing in Tampa. I've been there. It's delicious. If you haven't enjoyed it, very good.
It's the highest gravity for the lowest price, and
I would say the lowest.
It's not the lowest price, but it's the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, as far as flavor and quality, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of flavor.
But yeah, so I got into fatherhood pretty early. I got married, I think, at 22.
Conceived his first child in my bed.
That is not a lie. He wasn't actually in his bed.
No,
just to be clear.
I was in a different
state. It wasn't with him, but he had a place in Destin, and I had been dating my what would be wife.
Future ex-wife.
Future ex-wife was, I think, a fiance at that time, or was going to be a fiance at that time, maybe in a month or so. Whatever it was. He gave us his place at Destin. We did New Year's there.
Yeah.
And Yeah, and pretty sure my oldest, my daughter,
Yeah, dude, I got it down to the date. It happened there.
yeah,
But either way,
Leighton
I'm
was
not hung up on that.
Leighton was probably conceived
But
in his bed.
what I will say is I still kick myself and thinking, like, what was I doing? I had the perfect gig. I was stationed in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I had a house in Destin. I was stationed with a roommate with a high school friend who's still our friend. He's just a little out there, I guess you'd say. I don't know what do you want to characterize Aaron as, but he's
Come on, oh yeah, no. Aaron's one of our best friends for sure.
yeah,
Um,
he's our network.
no, I mean Aaron's up there, man. We're all close. It was really interesting. It was a really cool setup, but like Aaron was only there for training.
Yeah.
And you were there. You really didn't have anybody else there but Aaron. You guys were, stationed separately, kind of, because he was doing the EOD thing. But
It was a good gig, regardless.
it's a good gig.
Nice place.
But the whole, again, looping it back into the whole podcast being about the fatherhood thing and being dads now. So, back to 2014, 2013, 2014, I graduated law school, all this stuff. And, fast forward a couple of years, Evan gets married, has some kids. And, life being what it is, we grew up together, football together. I left for the Army. He left for the Air Force. He was in Japan. I was on the other side of the world, Seattle. I ended up in New Orleans. He ended up in Baton Rouge. And now we're both in Birmingham. Actually live down the street from each other. And here we are. I'm a single father with a 10-year-old and 7-year-old.
Golly, 10-year-old.
I know. So big, dude. Should be 11 this year. It's crazy. And he's got, I think yours are 3 and 1.5.
No, 2.5. 2.5.
Game's 2.5.
Yeah. So 2 years apart. But tying it all together like that, yeah.
So we're here, dads now, right? And we just felt like dads don't, not that dads don't get enough credit, it's like people don't talk enough about fathers in general because, well, they do and they don't, right? So with adults, like I said, like in the tagline I put on Instagram, it says, and I was like, screwed up adults don't complain about mommy issues, right? So when somebody's jacked up as an adult, they go, oh, they got daddy issues. Daddy didn't hug them enough. Every stripper in the world, when somebody's being a jerk and making fun of them, I'm not saying people should. I'm just saying when people are, when they want to poke fun, they're punching down, they go, oh, that girl's daddy didn't hug him enough.
That's right.
Or when they see some emo guy walking around somewhere in black and just hating his life, it's like, oh, that kid's dad wasn't there for him.
Weak character traits.
Yeah. Weak character traits you see in adults. A lot of the times that it feels like, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a sociologist. I'm just saying that when adults are fucked up, they blame it on their dads. That's generally where it goes. Criminals in jail, show me a criminal in jail with a loving Mr. Rogers father right there that was like willing to help them. They don't really exist. And if they do, that's crazy as shit.
Yeah.
So with that said, and when you look at children, all the laws.
We should actually do a study on that. We should actually pull the numbers on that.
That's
a
lot of work.
It is.
A lot of work.
But yeah, to your point.
I like shooting from the hip on this stuff.
Yeah.
So, let somebody else challenge me, and then I'll look up some facts. But I'm kind of going with what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not going Chris Chavez, flat earth on it, but.
Oh,
yeah.
He's going to hear that.
He's going to hear that for sure.
All right.
Kind of want you to hear it, Chris. So we have a friend.
We got several friends.
Now we're not going down the road of my friend being totally insane, but I still love him to pieces. But he's insane for sure. But yeah, so the father aspect of it, if adults when they're messed up, they complain about fathers not some kind of issue with fathers in childhood, right? However, when you look at children, people are not as concerned about that father-child relationship. They care more about the mother-child relationship because it's more comforting, right? Well, that is those two things are at odds. If you don't want screwed up adults, you need to ensure they have a good father figure, fatherhood, that whole aspect. But when they're kids, people are like, no, it's just about the mother, right? That's where the laws are built. Mothers get preference. Advertisements, literally, moms choose Jif. right?
Mm-hmm.
Not parents choose Jif, moms choose Jif or whatever. You know, like grocery store ads are literally pegged at
Jif
mothers.
peanut butter.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, grocery store ads are pegged at
Yeah.
mothers. Like, dads don't buy groceries. I can't tell you. Like, I told you, I've told you, I go to the grocery store, and people are like, "Oh, what are you doing? Babysitting?" No, those are my children. Thanks, though. You know, being a dad, there's like, it's just weird for them to see a male without a female and 2 small children. I mean, you've got, it's less so now that they're bigger. But you've got little kids. When it's just you with your little kids, people are like, "Do you need help?"
Yeah, no, I get that a lot. Especially not without a wedding ring, because I lost my wedding ring on a fishing trip, and I still haven't lived that one down.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, go to hell.
I mean, hypothetically, I'm not saying
didn't want me going on that fishing trip in the first place, and then I lose my wedding ring on the fishing trip. The games wasn't born yet.
He said it's on the trip, but he didn't say it was on the boat.
Yeah. At that point. So, yeah, I got to the store, and I haven't in my career.
Yeah.
Right. So not a lot of guys wear wedding rings, anyways, because it's something that gets snagged or climbing up and down tower cranes.
You lose a finger.
You lose a finger. So, to my point, I go in the store or wherever I'm at, and I'm with my kids alone. And a lot of times, my wife's begging me, like, "Hey, take the kids. I just want to get away." Especially after a long week of having the kids by yourself. It's like,
sure.
"Hey, get out with the kids. Y'all go do something. Spend some quality time." Okay.
Go ahead.
I get out. Dude, I get some crazy looks in the store by myself without a wedding ring. And those extended hands saying, "Hey, oh, you need help? What? Oh, a single dad. Oh, yeah."
At least they At least they assume that you're children. You look more wholesome than me, so I have like all these tattoos,
Yeah.
So like going back to
this thug.
Yeah.
Amber Alert.
Yeah, I almost get Amber Alerted every time when they were little. So when Liam was like on a bottle, it was less than a year old, and like that first summer. So Liam was born in the spring. So he's 4 months old, 5 months old, 6 months old with me. Leighton is 3.
Did Jacqueline just pack milk or what? Or did y'all formula? Was it formula?
Yeah, her boobs didn't work right for the whole breastfeeding thing,
Gotcha.
or so not shit, whatever. So they were on formula, and so it was just me with my toddler and my infant, and so we're going around places. That's the first time I realized that whole family bathroom thing. Like people are like, family bathrooms are everywhere. Fuck, they are.
No.
They're in Target, Walmart, and that is fucking it. Oh, the airport. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the only places with family bathrooms. So my 3-year-old is potty trained, but she can't she's still tiny. She can't even open the heavy doors. So I have to go in the restaurant bathrooms, open the ladies' room door, get her in there. Got to clean the seat for a hot second, make sure it's clean. Not going to get her weird. She's not going to fall in it because she's tiny. So I got to sit her sideways on it, side saddle the seat.
Yeah.
And then I got my infant my infant Liam. I'm got him sit down. He's just kind of trying to figure shit out. And so I pick him up in his little carrier, and we go to the front of the bathroom so I'm not creeping ladies out. And my daughter is sitting side saddle on the seat trying to, Daddy, I'm ready. And so that was literally my life for the first couple of years, when I had my 2 infants. But people would see me, I have all these tattoos, and I'm a younger guy. I'm in my mid-20s or late 20s at that time. And they're just like, is there an adult with those kids or a lady somewhere? I'm like, hey man, go fuck yourself. I'm taking care of my kids just fine. We were in New Orleans, we go to the zoo and stuff, and people are always like, oh, who are you? Everybody looks so concerned for them. They look so concerned, is there not an adult for you?
Yeah.
Which, in fairness, if I saw me pushing some kids around, if I wasn't being fatherly, I might be concerned too. But it's a stigma, though. I carry the same stigma, but that's what this podcast is about. It's talking about dads being involved and, getting in there with their kids and, doing stuff or not doing stuff, right? Because this whole podcast and what we talked about when we started it was being dads or not being dads, right? So say if we had we plan to have some guests here in the future, and if what impact their father had on them, what they look for if they're going to have, if they want to have kids, if they want to have, something like that, or what the impact of not having a father.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think we both have a lot of friends who didn't have dads, who definitely are not, have not been as fortunate as us.
Yeah.
I think we're both pretty fortunate, to be able to work, have a career, good place to live, roof over our heads. Kids are healthy, 2 healthy, happy kids. I mean, just that, just those little things are a blessing in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I said earlier, it's not about the advice my dad gave me on a day-to-day basis, correcting me when I was wrong, all that stuff. I mean, it is. That played an impact. But it was really those pivotal years of when I was figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And to have somebody there to guide me into that decision and say, hey, yes, I'm affirming, and this is affirmation on what you need to do. Do it, son.
Yeah.
No second guess it. Do it.
Yeah, just do it.
And that was the whole. That was the. I mean, that's how I joined the military.
Yeah.
If you would have left it up to me, a 17, 18-year-old kid, a child, I would have been like, nah, I want to go do this. I want to keep doing this. I'm fine. I'm safe. I wasn't safe, but it was. Hey,
you definitely weren't safe.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
I was there.
I'm having fun doing this, and luckily for me, I had those 2 role models in my life to say, "Hey, we're going to kick you out of the nest here. We know it's right. We know it's the right move. We know it's the right decision. Not necessarily make it for you, but we're going to guide you into that." And they did, and that's when the military took over.
Yeah,
and I'll call the military, the big daddy or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, when you're a kid, your life is on cruise control because all the decisions are made for you.
Yeah.
Like you may be kind of steering your own path, but like the big stuff is, it's taken care of. That throttle, that brake, that's taken care of. And the military definitely it doubles as your second set of parents. Like it's
absolutely
your parents pulled into one.
Yeah.
You were in the Air Force, I was in the Army, and I mean, there is comfort in some. I mean, that's what a lot of the enlisted people. They're always very young because it's just like your second set of parents. It's easy to roll into that position because you're being told where you have to go, what you have to do, when you're supposed to eat, like what your career path is. Like there's no questions, right? Like you have very little.
All you have to do is adapt to discipline.
Yeah.
You got to know, oh, I got to show up at this time. Okay, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but I'm going to do it because there's consequences.
Right.
So at the same time, you got to say, hey, somebody who's successful in the military as an enlisted person, they have to adapt to consequences, or at least know what consequences are.
For sure.
So.
For sure. Yeah, that's that's. I think we both went into that route just because we were not satisfied in our little roles in
absolutely
in Mobile, Alabama. Which no knock on Mobile, Simmies. West Mobile. We were in the out in the woods of Mobile, for sure. And it was I was never happy with it. I was never into the whole country vibe. I was into surfing, skateboarding. It was never me.
You go back to the Varsity Blues comment you made earlier. It's our coach knew that we were getting pulled over by the cops or arrested or whatever it was before our parents did. It was that kind of town. To frame it up, it was
To understand where we come from. Yeah, that's a fact.
High school football was everything, and I'm not saying that as a.
I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically, I knew a guy who may or may not have been pulled over, drunk, leaving a party on like a school night in like the middle of the night, and hypothetically, and my computer blacked out here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So back to the story. A guy may or may not got pulled over, and a sheriff saw him wearing maybe a Letterman jacket. So I heard, and the guy pulled out a little list in his jacket and goes, "Oh, you're a starter on the defense," allegedly. And the sheriff said, I'll just follow you home, make sure you get home safe." And that was the end of it on like a Thursday night being drunk. So
yeah.
I mean, I've heard that those kind of things happen out there.
Cliche.
Just super cliche Southern football kind of shenanigans, and and not to say I may or may not have taken advantage of the situation.
Oh, we did definitely
did, for sure did, and because I don't want to fault any I mean, I wouldn't make the same decisions as an adult, but I'm not mad at the adults that let me get by. I had a good time, but
you got to look at it though.
Yeah.
Some of those same guys were.
They were probably in the same role.
They were probably in the same role. They probably played football at the same high school, to some extent.
Yeah.
And
we were successful, and they wanted us to keep being successful. So
absolutely, yeah.
In fairness, though, our coaches didn't have the same leniency.
No,
the coaches were probably more strict than our parents.
They were smart. They were a lot smarter,
they knew where we would be.
Yeah, exactly.
They would show up to places and just we'll see you at 5 a.m.
I'm trying to give the cops the list.
The opening game of our senior season. We had to do
So we got called at Hooters?
Yeah, we got called at Hooters. We got called at Hooters the opening, the night before the opening game of our senior season. We got caught at Hooters. I don't think we were drinking, were we?
No,
we weren't drinking.
No, we were just wearing jerseys.
We had high school jerseys on. We were feeling like big shots. We were in the state. We were ranked high, and it was a big deal. And we thought we were a big deal. And we were at Hooters, and our coach caught us there. I'll never forget the steamy glasses. So to put it in perspective, our coach could be a very terrifying man. He's 5'10", about 340 pounds. He could probably, he could snatch
at that point, he could snatch the world.
Yeah, he could snatch a railroad tie up off the ground, And so we're all laughing, having a good time at the table, and I won't forget. Everybody at the table started getting quiet. And I was like, I'm still laughing.
Yeah, we had our back to the
we went to the door.
Party.
Yeah. We had our back to the door. We're all laughing. And all the other people that was facing inside were they shut up. We're like, what? They had no idea why they were shutting up. And they're like, zzz. All right, what is it? What is it? And we look, and sure enough, there's our head coach. Glasses fogged up. He's got sweat on his face, just beading off his forehead. He starts writing down our numbers on a napkin. 96, 99. Just getting these numbers.
I'm impressed you know our numbers off the top of your head.
Yeah, dude.
High school numbers.
Yeah, so he starts writing down these numbers, and I'll see you boys. What do you say? It was 5 a.m. or 6 a.m.?
See you in my office at 6 a.m.
Yeah, see you in our office at 6 a.m. So we ended up doing a couple of hundred up-downs, which in this world, in the CrossFit world, they call them burpees, right?
Yep.
So imagine doing a couple of hundred burpees before you get to start school that day, and then had to play a football game that night. That was the opening game of our season. But that was just about the accountability.
And
so even though
role models in our life.
Yeah. So even though we had our fathers at home that we both appreciated, we also had a second set in a very strong coaching program that had very strong accountability and principles. We had to check in, right? You couldn't be late for school.
Yeah, check in. So
we had to sign in every morning by 7:15 with the bells at 7:30. So if you weren't there by 7:15, you were late and you get in trouble. Something happened to you. So we've always had that discipline and that accountability. And other people on our team had special privileges, and it never worked out for them.
Yeah.
All the best athletes on our team were treated with special privileges. Think about it.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for them? Didn't.
Yeah.
Right? We have people who passed away, It's people who definitely didn't reach their potential, based on just their natural attributes. Very smart guys, very athletic guys, very gifted guys. Which is, again, why this podcast is here, and what, our goal, I think, was, at least mine was, I know we talked about, is just,
I can think of two of those guys right now.
Yeah.
That had no male role models or father figures outside of the football program. And if it wasn't for the football program, they probably would have crashed and burned
way before.
Way before.
Yeah.
Yes. So And you know what I'm talking about, like
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
Stewart.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's frame this all up again. And we recorded 30 minutes of conversation earlier that we didn't actually record.
So we didn't record.
Yeah, we did not record 30 minutes of
record
conversation. So, how all this came about and how we, everything from the studio to the space and how we came together here in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I think you highlighted that earlier. Or
Yeah.
It alluded to that earlier, but touch on that again.
Yeah, so, I left, when I got out of law school, I had 2 kids, divorced, ended up in Pensacola, and then my ex-wife got remarried, ended up in Birmingham. And by that time, Evan here, my dear friend, was, married with 1 child, and they were in Baton Rouge working. And, what comes around, an opportunity came up in Birmingham, and his wife had a sister here already. And just by, the good grace of God, we ended up coming back together in Birmingham, able to, live close to each other and just carry on the same friendship we've had since about 14 years old. And we've been talking about podcasts and listening to podcasts for a long time. We both, we talk about a lot of stuff. We think about a lot of stuff. And I think we both want to get a lot out. And I think there was a area which really doesn't get touched on enough, the whole dad aspect, fathers. And we both wanted to tap into that and just kind of just talk about it, just open up a dialogue. And, he and I talk about it, and we want to have some guests on to talk about it. What having a father's like, what being a father's like, what not having a father's like, what you wish you would have had, a father, that whole thing. We just wanted to bring shed some light onto that and bring that kind of conversation to the table because I don't really think it's been touched on.
Yeah, I think the more important part of that is, it started with you and I.
Yeah.
The 2 different people we are.
Right.
Or let me put it this way. The 2 phases or seasons in life.
Right.
And how different those are for you and I.
Right.
You're divorced.
Yep.
You've got 2 kids.
Yep.
Okay. And you got married at a young age.
Yep.
I say young age. You were out of the military.
And it wasn't young for the 1800s, let's be honest.
Right. Yeah. So you were younger than I was.
Oh, for sure.
I got married late in life.
Yeah.
I was 30 years old and still married.
Yeah.
So not divorced
Yep.
with 2 kids, a 3rd one on the way. So 2 different aspects and really 2 different approaches to fatherhood. And I've always been inspired by your story.
Yeah.
And now I think from where I'm at, and I don't know, I'm guessing here, I'm going on a limb. We haven't even talked about this, and this is sort of reach, but I'm saying that you're probably pretty impressed seeing where I came from and how stupid I was growing up and all through my 20s.
You are a goddamn unicorn compared to what you were. You are like, I joke with people all the time. I'm like, Evan, like, we used to just call you the animal.
Yeah.
Like, we literally used to refer to you as the animal. Like, you were a fucking animal.
Yeah.
And like, now when I see you with your kids and being gentle and like even in high tension moments with your wife and your kids, you're still very calm and very gentle with them. And I was like, I watched you jack a grown man when we were in high school on multiple occasions. And I was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm just like, I respect you so much for that. Like, just coming from being like the aggressive animal I knew you were for pretty much your like formidable years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To being a mindful father and husband now. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
I find that very impressive.
You could put those 2 in either order, mindful husband or mindful father, mindful husband.
Well, I think they're separate categories. I mean, they overlap. They're those 2 circles with that overlap in the middle, right?
They are, absolutely.
Like, you can be one, you can be the other, but like to do the same thing, that's the marriage part. So the marriage is that overlap of the circles because, I think I tried to be a good husband and tried to be a good father. Those circles separated for me because I'm not married anymore, but I still try to retain that. And I still try to be respectful of their mom. I don't like their mom, but I would never, naysayer in front of them because They only have one
Well,
mother.
because that's part of being a good father.
Right. It's part of it, right? So those circles overlap.
Yep.
No matter what, those circles are gonna overlap.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, 100%, man. Like, I know you say that, but I mean, to come from where you came from to being the guy that, like, let me hold those drinks and tell me to hit a bouncer, or you like jacking a grown man.
Knock his ass out.
hypothetically speaking, that may or may not have happened. But just saying, just from going from that guy to the respectful husband, father you are, it's been a tremendous journey, I think, for both of us.
Absolutely. And I'll say this: so, from seeing you at a young age, being squared away, and all right. So when you got married, I was like, okay, Phil's going to do great at this. He's all right. Now the respect that he's got married, he's had his first kid, he's having a second one. Oh shit, he had a divorce. He's getting a divorce. Okay, he's going to handle it. I don't doubt that. Now, how's he going to do as a single adult or a single father? Okay.
Jury's still out.
Yeah, your shot. But
Yeah.
no, it's not. I think you've done a great job. I think you've done a great job. But then in almost on the polar end of the scale here is seeing me coming from what I was now to a husband, a father, and all that in a later stage in life or a different season of life.
Yeah, we're I mean, age-wise, we're at the same level. Professionally, you're ahead of me because I put my whole professional life on pause and just kind of backpedaled to focus on my personal life. But
isn't that the part of it though? Isn't it saying I'm coming to you for fatherly advice a lot of times?
I don't think you do.
And
you
professional advice.
Yeah, you do.
Whether you know it or not, I do.
I think you do.
It's in a bro moment here.
I know, but I think you like your handle on it is good.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, because I see you handle things better than I would handle things, and I know that.
But for you to point, okay, so back up. Let's camp out on that for a second. For you to sit there and say, "Man, he handled that a lot better than I could have handled it." We haven't been in that situation in a long time, though.
That's true because my kids are older, but not that it is a benefit. But the loss of my children, that day to day, also makes me more mindful of every moment.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, "Oh, you're so great with your kids," it is a compliment, and I understand that, and I'm bad at taking compliments in general, but I don't see it as doing anything special now because my kids aren't with me all the time. Right, so it's easier to be just super jacked to be around them and want to do awesome things with them because I don't get the opportunity to even take them for granted, right? Because I don't get to see them. So when I'm not with them, I just long for them, right? I just think about them all the time. So when I get them, I'm just so much more mindful than I was when I had my daughter all the time, right? Like I don't think I definitely was, and I don't know that I could say that I'm the same caliber of father that I was. Well, we can wrap it up. I think it's about the time. But I don't know if I was the same caliber of father pre-divorce than I was post-divorce. But I think Evan is about to PSP pants. But hey, look. This is intro to our podcast. The studio is still getting worked on, but we're going to put more of these out at least once a week. Thanks, everybody. I saw you fucking with yourself. I was like, dude, he's got pissed. That's hilarious. All right, let's see it.
Nothing? We didn't get anything?
Yeah, so apparently everything we just talked about for the last 30 minutes did not get recorded.